Welcome to the Washington Tattoo Podcast, where we champion education, celebrate community, and unite the very best of humanity. Fueled by world-class military precision and cultural excellence, Washington Tattoo produces unforgettable immersive experiences, creating an atmosphere for people, organizations, and businesses to connect, network, and build impactful relationships. We invite you to listen to this episode of the Washington Tattoo Podcast, where the world's musical traditions come to life. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello and welcome everyone again to another episode of the Washington Tattoo Podcast. We are delighted this afternoon to bring Stuart Warmington, my co-host. Stu, how are you this afternoon?
All good. We've got the seasons changing, so it's quite natural to have rain here now, so everything's all good.
You know what? It's completely raining and we have a remnants of a tropical storm hitting Washington this weekend, so it feels like the UK here in DC. But super excited. We have Anna White, and Anna has become a dear friend over the last few years. She's the founder and owner of the ScotlandShop, and they just make absolutely world-class tartan material. They make tartan everything when it comes to shoes, it comes to trews, it comes to evening wear. I mean, all of the things that you could possibly put in a tartan fabric, they make it all, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I just want to say, Anna, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and we are really excited to talk with you.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Well, awesome. So we've been to your shop several times now over the last couple of years and have really gotten to know you and your staff and are just, so humbled to have a partnership with the Washington Tattoo, but would love to just figure out what was the inspiration behind having this shop and kind of your story and how you led into it.
Yeah, so ScotlandShop began, it's about 20 years since I started the company. We celebrated our 20th birthday last year, which was fun. It was fun because it was fun looking back as to why did we do this and how have we changed, and some bits of it have changed a lot and some haven't changed at all. So I suppose the ethos behind it has never changed. My home is in the Scottish borders, beautiful, beautiful area in the south of Scotland where textiles is world renowned. So all the very best fabrics are woven here. The best cashmere is made in this area. Wow. So that was a huge part of the inspiration behind the business. In my previous job, I got to know all these local companies producing fabulous fabrics and products. And being a really little rural area, there's not a lot of business. There's not, the economy really needs to grow for us to continue to enjoy living in this area. So I wanted to kind of be a part of that, I suppose. I wanted to contribute to that. So initially, my goal was to take the products produced locally and sell them worldwide. So that's what we do. And that's grown. Obviously, that started with a small collection of products, and that collection has changed and grown and expanded depending what our customers were looking for. But yes, anything you want made in tartan, we can make it.
I mean, like you say, your products grew and grew, and I've been on the website, and there's all sorts there. It's incredible. So, how does the tartan hold a significant place in the Scottish culture? Why is it so popular, and why is it not going away? Because you look at different cultures all around the world, and some things just trail off now and again. But obviously, in the Scottish culture and heritage, it's there. It's always, and it just seems to be getting bigger.
Yeah, I think it does feel like it's had a bit of a resurgence, I think, because of where we come from and our heritage is becoming more and more important to us. The world gets bigger, but we all want to have a kind of sense of place and a belonging and a community. And I think a lot of what we do is around community. It's around the history and traditions of the fabrics. Where are they made? Where do they come from? Where does each clan come from? We have this enormous map up in the shop on the wall, which is one of my favourite features of the shop. And we've done that both in the Edinburgh shop and in the Albany one. And that, it allows people to come in store and start to explore where they came from, and then why were those fabrics, why are they that colour, why, where did they come from, what's the story behind each of those. So I think there's lots of reasons. Tartan, it's on the catwalk every year. It just doesn't go out of fashion. It's classic. You can pick out different. There's so many tartans. You can always find an on-trend colour in tartan because there are so many different options. But I think, it's the quality of the fabric. It's the story behind it. That's what keeps it alive for us all. It's got a story, it's got an emotional, it's that kind of passion behind it that I think that's what keeps it current.
Yeah, so you talked about trends and all the rest of it. Do you see an influx of orders or interest when there's maybe stuff like Outlander comes on TV or certain programs or films where that sort of heritage is then pushed to the front again?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. And you think, I don't know, people have different opinions on things like Outlander and its authenticity, but there's no doubt that brought to the attention of millions of people the elements of Scottish history that they just weren't aware of.
Yeah.
And behind that, is the famous Jamie Fraser in his tartan, and we can't deny we've sold a lot of Fraser hunting weathered tartan off the back of that.
That's amazing.
So but even last year, when the passing of the Queen and that in itself brought Scotland into the eye of the world, and we saw a big increase in even just in questions, customers sending in questions about Balmoral and all the different tartans involved with the royal family, and so that I was amazed actually by the amount of interest that generated. So yeah, these events definitely just bringing it into the attention, I suppose, of the general public.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Well, I think it's interesting because I'm the one outnumbered here with the accents. I have the very boring American accent here, but I will actually bring this up. I've done a lot of conversations, great conversations with folks with the Scottish government in the United States, Chris Thompson, Rory Hedderly, and speaking with them about what's now called the Outlander effect. And if you think about that from really a romanticized version of what people think of Scotland, there's this battle that happens right between what is current and modern Scotland now. What does the Scottish diaspora think about traditional Scotland? And they're kind of wrestling with those two ideas. But it's really powerful if you look at the generations and the ones who watched Rob Roy and fell in love with Rob Roy, those who fell in love with Braveheart. And it almost is that Outlander is that next generation, if it's, historically accurate or not. And I think it's really interesting where they talk about market share and saying it has sci-fi folks, it has historians, it's got romance, it has all of these different elements to it that are bringing people at least to the conversation of what is my ancestry, what is my heritage. And it's a very powerful conversation in the 21st century where everything is so digitally driven that now this conversation's happening where you're going back into history and tradition and heritage, culture, and what are we using the technology to then do? To find ancestry.com and to look back and, talking about what happens with today's generation of folks who find this interesting. So I love the fact that you are able to see that uptick with folks that are coming to visit the Scotland shop, look into their family lineage and explore the infamous Jamie Fraser. I think that's hysterical. I love it. So question about sustainability. This is something I really think is a very, it's a very important conversation. It's a very big topic these days. And I think sustainability can mean so many different things. What are some things that you feel that bring sustainability into the conversation with the Scotland shop?
Well, I think fundamentally we love sustainability because that's actually what we're about. it's almost brought some of our key values to the fore, in that we deal in wool fabric. It's a sustainable, that everything we make is wool. So obviously we're dealing with a sustainable raw material in the first place. And it's really nice to keep also that kind of tradition alive. And we're dealing in what they'll now call slow fashion. It's classic designs, it's quality tailoring. So our items aren't cheap. They take a long time to make. Sometimes you'll be waiting 4 to 6 weeks for your item. But that's because it's made in a traditional way. It's something that we expect you to keep forever. We expect you to hand that kilt down to the next generation. And I think, so for us, a lot of the sustainability is about using a raw material that is sustainable, using, that can be recycled if that's what you want to do, but also that it's something that can last forever. It's of a quality, and it's also of a design that it can last forever. So it's not going to go out of fashion. You're still going to wear that kilt in 40 years time, 100 years time. I mean, people bring kilts to us and say, can you tell us what tartan this is? It was my great-great-grandfather's and I don't know. And, that it's just amazing to see those garments still in use and still, fully functional. And then that's because the quality of the fabric's so good. So I suppose sustainability in that sense, but also, we live in a rural community. I'm married to a farmer, so I have a lot of that. I suppose that's in us. What we are doing at home, what my husband's doing is all about soil and carbon and, all of these kind of things. So I suppose that's quite high on my priority anyway. And we do things with our building, where the way we heat our building and things like that. So we're trying to get to that net zero, I suppose, is the new topical term. But so there's lots of things that we're doing in-house as well. Packaging, a lot of discussion around packaging.
Yeah.
What are we doing? And is that the right way to do that? And we want everything to look beautiful, but is that correct? Is that using more materials than we should be? So yeah, it's an ongoing thing within the business that we're always looking at. But I think fundamentally our product is sustainable and we want to keep it that way. And it's produced locally. I suppose our big thing is that we're shipping it worldwide. So that shipping worldwide probably isn't the best, but there's demand worldwide. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure what we do about that one.
I mean, it's interesting you talk about packaging, because I've looked at a few companies recently where, they sell really expensive items, and now they've gone down the sustainable route where the packaging looks really cheap and really tatty, but it's because of the sustainability. They're putting it on all the websites. This is what we use. But when you get the product, you spent thousands of pounds on this product, you get it, and you just go, oh, I was expecting. It's all about presentation at the end of the day. If you're spending a lot of money on something, you expect it to come in a really nice box and not just something that's just been thrown in. And so it's interesting you talk about that. But so when we first started working with the Scotland Shop, I went on the website because I'll admit I didn't know who you were, didn't know anything, and then I looked at the vast amount of products. I mean, you've got thousands of products on there, all in different ranges. There's something there for everybody, from kids, babies, adults. I mean, it's impressive. So, but there's a lot of you can customize things. So, have you had any weird orders, or something that somebody like a custom order that you wouldn't normally do, or it's a one-off, or?
Yeah, I think we probably specialise in that, the weird and wonderful. But yeah, every day you get a random email from someone saying, I like this product, but, and it's often, I've got the most enormous dining room table. Can you make me the biggest tablecloth you've ever seen to go on that? Or, yeah, I'm a strangely shaped woman. Can you make something to fit me? And so we do specialise in, okay, you've got a special request or an event or something that you want something specially made for. And obviously, we're making one by one, we don't bulk produce anything. Yeah. So it's not always easy, but in a sense it is easy for us to customize because your item's being made just for you generally in your chosen fabric. So we can make changes to it. And we try to be super flexible and helpful, and we've made a cloak for a clergyman, obviously in the clergy tartan. We've made Peter Jones, who's I think you have Shark Tank in the US, don't you? In the UK, It's Dragon's Den. And he's a very, very tall gentleman. So he needed his waistcoat specially made within about 4 days for something he was doing at New Year in Scotland. Did that for him. I don't know, we just, all the time you're just getting really random requests.
Have you done anything really unusual, though? Or is everything just, like you say, a size difference maybe, or obscure
It's
tartans?
more like we'll do we did a whole range of jackets for the theatre production. For example, they had to throw off their jackets halfway through the production, so we made everything magnetic for them so that they could just rip off these jackets. So it's more those kind of almost subtle differences, but which made it, made that perfect for their production. We've done an ice skating outfit for a couple, a Scottish couple competing in the Commonwealth Games. So yeah, that was a random one. Yes, I'd never done a skirt in that style before, but that all worked. So yes, every day.
I love it. So on this topic, I mean, everything you have that is, in person, you have the 2 shops, but then you also have a very large online e-commerce business. And that growth, I mean, could you talk about, going to an online e-commerce shop and then the expansion into the States, I think is also a really interesting story.
Yeah, so we started as e-commerce. So I had originally worked for a web design agency. So that was kind of behind my ethos when we started, was this is how we can immediately have access to an international audience. We can immediately reach that end consumer. And we've kind of grown with e-commerce. So when we started, there was not very much. So I almost see that our growth, I sometimes think, was it anything to do with what we did or just the fact that e-commerce has steadily grown? And right from day one, we had customers in the US. That just happened organically, that they just arrived with us. So we've kind of grown with them too and responded to their requests. But it became very apparent that e-commerce, it's so difficult, isn't it, to touch and feel, and we try to convey the quality of the fabric and the time taken to produce that fabric or the garment or the different details, and it's just so difficult to get that across online. And we had an increasing number of requests from people saying, they wanted to come and see us. So that's why we opened the shop in Edinburgh. But that's only, 5.5 years ago that we did that. So that was a big shift for us, because it's quite easy e-commerce in a way, because it's all contained. You do it all out of one location. It's just everything. The staff are all in one place. And suddenly you have this totally separate location. Different skills required for that face-to-face, but also so much learning. It's like so interesting being face to face with the customer and having those conversations and allowing them to touch and feel the product and really appreciate how things are made, and all the training that we do with our staff to make sure they can share that story and the history. And so it's been really interesting, that, and for me, I suppose, a big learning curve, because face-to-face retail is very different to e-commerce. And then last year, obviously a year and a half ago, we did open the store in the US. And that again, in terms of time zones and staff in a different location, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And it's been tough for those staff too. But again, it's really interesting because it's different customers, different people coming in with different questions and requests. So we need to adapt to that. And that's growing steadily, really. So, we just have to keep adapting.
I know where you're coming from, because obviously with the drum company, we had this. It's not an issue, but we had the same. It's trying to convey the quality of the product, and so we ended up opening and doing tours of the factory, and that was like magical. It was instant. As soon as they walked over the threshold, we knew we had them sold, because once they see how much time and effort goes into it, and it's not just, because we're the same, we're not cheap, it's a handmade product that, it's not coming out of Taiwan, anywhere like that. It is all made on site in the UK. So once we get people through the door, we know that they're sold on the product, because by the time they come around to the end of the tour, they're just astonished. And I'm guessing that's the same for you. But so one of the things that we have to try and keep up with is we have trends, depending on what's going on in the music world and what have you. So is that the same for you guys? How do you keep up with fashion trends, and how do you keep it still traditional and still within the culture sort of realms of not going over the line?
Yeah, well, I suppose we keep up with trends, and we'll change our collection depending on colour and things going on within the industry. Skirts change length and style, and the demands change all the time. So we keep an eye on all of that, and we do. On our staff, we have textiles graduates and fashion graduates, so they're keeping an eye on all of these things going on as well. But underneath that, I suppose, is classic tailoring and classic style that can kind of almost cut across the trends. So I suppose we have an underlying kind of style that remains the same, and then we bring in new bits to the collection that kind of address the fashion trends and things that are going on in the market. So yeah, we try and do a bit of both, and part of what we do is we want to tell the story of the tartans and the clans and the fabrics, but as well, we do want to create modern products that people want to wear and are appropriate for weddings and special occasions and casual wear. So we kind of do need to cross those different lines. But yeah, I think we're managing to do that. We would just bring in new styles from time to time. We're not really tied to autumn, winter, spring, summer collections like some fashion brands. But at the same time, we're always trying to freshen things up. But to be honest, so often driven by the customer. So often we'll have someone come to us and say, oh, well, we would really like this style of trouser, and we've got a new women's trouser style coming out shortly. And that's very much driven by, well, we've actually had quite a few customers ask for this. Let's put something together, and we work with our designers and do that. So, and it's good to have things that are unique to ScotlandShop,
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
I love it. So can you walk us through, I'm a customer and I want to go through a custom journey with you. Like, what does that process look like? Maybe I don't know anything. Like, I come in, I think I have some Scottish ancestry, and I know that you kind of have an intake process of kind of how you would bring in a new customer from maybe their family heritage and into choosing the tartan, and then also making a product specific for them. Could you walk us kind of through, if I'm a newbie to all of this, what does that process look like?
Brand new. So we start right at the beginning. So, we worked with a customer last week, and her initial question was, what is tartan? She didn't even, so we can go, and we obviously chat to the customer, find out where they want to begin. But we can start, we do start right at the beginning. What is tartan? What is the history of tartan? Where did it come from? Why, what purpose does it serve? And so we would go through that with a customer. We would talk about the traditions of weaving, how things have changed, dyeing fabrics, where did the colours come from? Why are some tartans one colour? Why do you have different variations, modern and ancient and dress? And where does all that come from, and what's the reasons behind those? So we go through all of that, and then we talk to you individually about, where did you come from? Have you got any ancestry that you know about? We look at surnames, we go further back in your family. We get some people who come in, they've got lots and lots of information already, and others who come with very little. So we just work, with whatever. And we do have a genealogist who works alongside us. So if people want to go right down that route and go really in depth, then that can be done as well. And we look at regions and, where did you come from? Again, back to that fabulous map, and where have you come from in Scotland? Where did your clan move around? And there's all the district tartans as well. So it's a bit of a journey, really, and it's very personal, I suppose, because it just depends, who you are, where you've come from, and what your interests are. Some people have they want to learn more about weaving and dyeing and warping and wefting and how things are made, whereas others are more interested perhaps in the regional side and where did that cut, where's my clan seat, where's the castle, where's the that side of things. So we do, because we do a clan of the month every month, so we focus on one particular clan. And so that's always really fun as well for people to explore. This is your clan and the story behind it, the old story, and right through to the modern day, and key places for that clan. So when you come into the store, we can do that, individually with people as well. And then you move on to, right, do you want a garment? You don't have to come, you can come to us and just talk about clans and tartans. We don't mind. Or, do you want a garment? Then we measure you, explain why we take the measurements, how they work, how we make your garment, and all this, if you're ordering a kilt outfit, then there's obviously lots and lots of accessories and fabulous things you can add in, and all the story and history behind each of those items. Because every single item, there is a reason for it. And that's, I suppose that's what's so interesting, is there's and then you get stories from the customer too. And, so yeah, we learn something every day from our customers as well as us teaching them things.
So this whole tartan thing really, I love all this sort of stuff. And there must be, thousands and thousands of different tartans on the register. But going back to like the very early days, I'm guessing a lot of them were, because now that, you can have any colour you want, it doesn't matter. But I'm guessing back then were there sort of darker colours, because I'm guessing it was harder to make lighter colours or get the material, or were the clans back then quite a dark sort of shade of tartan? Or were they still really bright?
It depended where you came from. So it depended, what landscape you were in. So that it's the plants, the earth, what was around them at the time to dye the fabric with. And that's really what dictated your colours. That's really what's behind them. So actually those colours were softer colours, because you couldn't get a strong colour, because, out of a natural dye, you don't get really strong dark colours. That's not what happens. So your ancient tartans tend to be kind of softer colours. But then it was by 1865 when you got chemical dyes, and that's when you got your modern colours with a much darker, more bottle greens and navy blues, and those much stronger colours became popular.
So how were they made back then? Because I'm guessing everybody would like to know. Obviously, the technology you've got now is, they didn't have that back then. So how were they actually made back then, and putting the colours into them?
So I'm not a complete expert. Might have to call my colleague Emily who's our in-house tartan designer, and probably has gone into this in more depth. But yeah, that just you're crushing up your berries. You're using the colours from plants, from the earth, soil. All the colour that you can glean from natural products. That's what they were using to then dye the fabrics with.
Wow, that's incredible.
I love it. So in Edinburgh, we have all of these amazing festivals, and people come obviously for the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo, but also the Fringe. During that month of August, you're surrounded by these festivals and music and people wearing tartan, and it almost is just it's oozing out of the pores of the city. Do you typically see more foot traffic, or do you experience that festival kind of in a unique way, having the shop in the middle of the city?
Yeah, I think we do, and I love it. It's just buzzing. Edinburgh it's a great city, Edinburgh, and you can walk everywhere and really absorb everything that's going on. I think you get all the street performers and things, which really add to that atmosphere. But no, we love August. It's completely bonkers. It's a different type of customer, actually, because we tend to do... During the year, a lot of people will come to us by appointment. They'll spend a lot of time in store. Whereas often during the festival, people are really busy. They're maybe just popping in quickly or randomly. They've not pre-planned it. They just appear. It's just a different customer. I suppose they're there for the festival. They've got their tickets. They need to be a certain place at a certain time. So it's a much more kind of busy, faster paced environment, but it's really fun. It is really fun, and you meet so many different people, and often meet the performers and people who are there, involved in the festival. So yeah, it's just a real treat to be in Edinburgh at that time of year. I think a lot of the locals just evacuate the city because you can't move for a month. But no, I think it's really fun. It's good. And I was just chatting to one of the organisers of the Fringe last week, and just about how we can get more involved and what we could do next year to become a much bigger part of that, and looking at, becoming a venue and what we could offer in store and things. Because, yeah, it's an exciting time, and we can see the castle from our doors. So when the tattoo's ready to start up, you'd see all the lights. And, yeah, it's a real treat to be part of that.
Yeah, you really took care of us so very well when we were here in August last month. And when we went to the Scotland shop, we did some sizing and we talked about the Washington Tattoo tartan, which we're very honored and privileged to have partnered with you to bring this to reality. But you're having that experience and coming in and you're having a wee dram and you're right across the street from the Johnny Walker experience. And I mean, there's just so much that's right there. And I think, for us, it's just an amazing partnership. So we are super excited to see that moving forward as well. So it definitely feels like August is that prime time to be there with all the festivals and all the buzz.
Yeah, and I think for us, it's a real honor to be right at the beginning of your journey, I suppose, as you develop the Washington tattoo, and we've taken all your colours that are so important to you and included them in the tartan, so we can help you tell your story. So yeah, we are very honoured too, Mark. It's an exciting journey.
And talking about journey beginnings, and you mentioned you've just last year the anniversary of the business, and you've got a shop in Edinburgh, you've got a shop in America now. Very successful businesswoman. What would you say for anybody who's looking to start up a business involving culture and traditions? And have you got any advice for them, maybe how you go about things, or a bit of advice that you were given that you drive your daily business with?
I think it's remaining true to your values. Why am I doing this? What is the message I'm trying to convey? What's my product all about? And it's keeping that focus. And I think that we often underestimate how long that takes to build. You run your own business. You're starting the Washington tattoo market. You've got to have those core values and stick with them so that it's really clear to people, what am I doing and why am I doing it? And that's not just clear to your customers, it's clear to your staff, it's clear to everyone what are we trying to create here. And I think it's easy to, maybe you get a product that sells quite well that isn't actually quite in line with with what you intended to do. Yes, you have to be flexible, but I think you also have to just stick to those core values. And for us, it's about telling the story and the tradition behind the fabric. And it's, we could make a quick buck by importing a product that's, made overseas and looks pretty, but actually that's not us. That's not what we set out to do. And we could maybe be a more wealthy company because of doing that, but actually that's not what we're about, and that's not what we're promising our customers. So we're not going to do that. So I think it is about sometimes just being really patient, because actually if you get those values right and you get that message right, then you build a much stronger and more sustainable business, that you're still going to be around in 20 years rather than...
And I think you build a stronger customer base as well, because, they're getting a quality product they're going to come back for. There's this thing, especially in the UK, there's buy cheap, buy twice. People just want the cheapest thing possible. And I'm the worst offender when it comes to phone leads. I will not fork out a lot of money for a phone lead, but I know 4 months down the line or 5 months, I'm going to be buying another one. But when it comes to, quality products, it does it's definitely worth paying the money, getting the quality product you want and not the one you can afford. It's worth just waiting that little bit longer till you can afford to buy it. And then, and it does build up your customer base, because people go, well, it's all word of mouth, and it builds up, the sales and everything like that. Because, if you're producing a quality product, people will come back and they will tell other people about it. And, it's not worth, like you say, just bringing in something cheap to make it a quicker bit of money, because overall you're going to lose money in the long run. You're quite right about that.
So it's interesting talking about the quality and the values and why things are important to us, and talking about entrepreneurship and setting that boundary and setting those foundations. It's been exciting to work with you on just the exploration of what's possible. And I think we have a Google Doc that's loaded with ideas that we're eventually going to knock out. Maybe if we get through 20% of that Google Doc, we're rolling. So, but I mean, when it comes to new things coming down the pipeline, new products, new partnerships, can you just talk a little quickly about that?
Yes, I'm terrible. I think I'm very, I have a million ideas all the time. And I think when you work really closely with me, I think we had a new start this week. And I think by the end of the week, he was just a bit like, whoa, this is way too much. So I had to say, it's okay. We don't have to do all this in the first month. It's fine. So yeah, I have a lot of ideas, and there's always new product ideas coming down the line. But in-house, we work, all of us put ideas in. So it's not about my ideas. It's actually about the ideas of all the other staff. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. We're always trying to get your input. You know, what you might be the apprentice, but actually you've probably got a really good idea on how to make this better, and how do we package it better, or how do we present it better, or how do we make it better. So I suppose that, yes, there's new ideas, but there's just making things better all the time is kind of a core thing for us, is how can we do this better? How can we make the service better? We've got some fun stuff coming down the line. There's lots of new things coming, but I think a lot of it is about, you know, what are we doing just now that we can actually do better or present better, and yeah.
Perfect.
So, the business is called the ScotlandShop. I mean, there's no better name for that, because anybody who's looking for anything to do with Scotland is going to type that in, and you know, your business is probably going to be first on the Google rating. So, you know, you also said you live in the borders yourself. So what does Scotland mean to you personally, and also to your business?
I think I just love Scotland. I love the personality and the character of Scotland. I think that's very strong for us. I think we have a really strong identity, which I enjoy, and I think that's part of what we promote, is that we're quite a unique nation. I love our friendliness, and I love when people come into the shop and they're like, oh, just the welcome here is amazing. And that's what I think we are all about. And I travelled quite a lot when I was younger, and I think that makes you appreciate where you come from and the values of the people you've grown up with, and that kind of family and community. And so I come from a fairly rural area, and that's very, very strong in our area, is the community and looking after each other. And so that's always been really important to me. So I feel like Scotland has that kind of, it's a whole country, but it feels like a community.
Yeah.
So that, and the landscape. I mean, you just can't. We had one of our American staff over in August, travelling around with us. We did the Mackay clan chief inauguration up in Betty Hill near Thurso. So took her with us, travelled right up to the north of Scotland, down round by John O'Groats, back by Inverness. And I mean, even, you know, I live here, but I just spent my whole time just going, oh, wow, it's just amazing. It's just beautiful. And can we just stop here? I need a swim. Let's just stop here for a random, you know, it's just, I love landscape. I love being outside. So for me personally, I suppose that whole outdoor space, the beauty of where we live is really inspiring. You know, I drive from my house up to Edinburgh. So from our headquarters here in Duns, drive up to Edinburgh, you go through the Lammermuir Hills, and I mean, it's just stunning. And that, it just clears your head. You get those new ideas. You just have time to think. I think it's quite unique as a country. It's inspiring. I think there's a reason why there's a lot of entrepreneurs in Scotland. I'm sure it's to do with just a bit of headspace up here.
Yeah, I mean, me and Mark have been to Edinburgh numerous times and performed at the castle, and it's the whole town, you know, the whole city is just, it's got a nice vibe to it. It's, you know, you got the history there is phenomenal. It doesn't matter where you go, there's history, whether you're going down a set of steps or you're going up a hill, there's something there. I mean, the history behind that whole city is incredible. You're right, it's the headspace, you're just walking around, you can relax and get the thoughts going. So, yeah, it must be great working in Edinburgh.
Yeah, no, we love it. And then you go to Glasgow and it's totally different. And it's fantastic, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really nice too. You know, it's personalities.
Mhm.
Glasgow has a different personality again. But
Yeah,
I
it's
love it.
yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, I just want to do a quick shout out to a mutual dear friend, Stuart McLaurin, because I don't think this relationship would be what it is today
Oh,
if it were not for the connections with the White House Historical Association. And what's been really special for the Washington Tattoo was to have the conversations about values, about credibility, about product, about quality. And what's been really fun for us is to create this idea of a Washington Tattoo tartan, which I had no idea what that process entailed. I had no idea even really what the first steps were. And you were so kind to us and helping us walk through that process, how to get it on the register, and then also looking at what we would do for a founder's tartan and a general public tartan, and how we would look at, why should we create two, and then also how we start to build that for the future. So that's a little bit of a teaser, I think, coming out over the next few weeks. But people, please, if you're into Scottish heritage and you're into tartan and clan history, if you're a history buff and you love, if it's Rob Roy or Braveheart, or just, if you're into history and heritage travel, please stop by and say hello to Anna White and her team over in Edinburgh and explore the amazing products that are on the Scotland Shop website. But is there anything that you'd like to wrap up with, Anna? Any final thoughts that you have for your business and what you'd like to say to some customers?
Oh, that's a big question. Don't think I'm prepared for that. No, I think I echo your, it's a great journey for us. We love meeting our customers. We want to hear from everyone. So what is it you want to see? What do you want to see from Scotland Shop in the future? That's what we want to know. We want to deliver what the customers want. So we're always interested in your feedback and doing a new, designing the tartan for you. It's such an exciting process. And if there's charities, companies, individuals who want to go down that journey, it seems, it can seem daunting, but it's not at all. We walk you through it. You tell us all what's important to you, your colours, your dates, what do you want included in that tartan, and you can tell a whole story through that design. So yeah, it's a really exciting process, and for us it's really exciting. That's one of our favourite things to do, because it's just the beginning. You create the tartan and then you can do all these things with it. So yes, I think my message is just come and chat to us. We always want to hear from you.
Fantastic. And so how can people most easily get in contact with you?
Just via the website. There's phone numbers, there's email, there's live chat. We welcome you in any way, shape or form. Just contact us. All the contact details. There's a contact us page. There's a form you can fill in, but also equally, we do love a good chat. So just give us a ring or pop into one of our stores. And we're doing lots of pop-up events. So it's really good to keep an eye on our events page, because we're up here. Emily's just spent 3 months in Canada meeting lots of crazy Canadians and having a fabulous time. So she's enjoyed it so much. She's now informed me she's coming back in November. So if you're in Canada, we'll be back in November. But yeah, there's lots planned around St Andrew's Night and Burns Night as well. So it's always worth keeping an eye on what we're up to.
Fantastic.
Perfect. Well, Stu, thank you again for joining for another great episode. And Anna, we are super excited to continue the partnership. And for folks, please check out the Scotland Shop, check out the website, check out all their fantastic online offerings. And if you're in Edinburgh and you want to go to the storefront, or if you're in Albany, New York, another fantastic shop that's up there as well in the United States. So, Anna, thank you so much for talking with us today. We are humbled and honored to be a partner of yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey everyone, this is Mark Riley again. We want to share a great opportunity with you to get your business name out to our listeners. We are looking for individual episode and yearly sponsors for the Washington Tattoo Podcast. So if you love music, history, and want to support military veterans, please take this step with us and consider being a sponsor. For information on that, please email marketing@thewashingtontattoo.com.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. For PSAs on the best services available to veterans, go to VA's new radio outreach page, news.va.gov/outreach/radio.